Assalamualaikum and Salam Satu Malaysia. Welcome back to the iLecture for the course CBPM 4103 IT Project Management. Previously, you have learned the first project life cycle, which is initiation. In this session, you will learn the second project life cycle, planning. For this session, I will share with you the definition of planning, process and information required for the planning. By the end of the session, you should be able to define what project planning is, describe project planning process, explain steps in planning, describe project scope and objectives, and describe work breakdown structure. Let's start our discussion. In our real life, we plan our activities in order to accomplish our goals from time to time. For instance, if you want to go back to your hometown, you will plan your travel time, the route, etc. Same goes to IT project. You are required to plan your activities if you want to achieve your project goals. When planning, please remember there are three things that you have to consider. First, project scope. Second, project cost. And lastly, project schedule. Good plan may assist you to deliver your project timely with good quality. This is why planning is considered the most important stage when you do a project. It is used as a basis to monitor and control your project progress. You have learned what you need to plan before you start a project. Now, I want to share with you the project planning process. When you talk about planning, it can be done throughout the project. It is a recurring process. You may improve your plan as required. In this slide, the process is clearly defined where you are required to draw a project schedule. Based on the project schedule, all activities will be executed and at the same time, you review its progress. As the project manager, you may change your project if you think that it suits your project in order to produce better progress and quality. Many people take planning for granted as something they already have known. This leads to incomplete activities that may impact the entire project. Here are some steps in project planning. You will learn the steps in detail in the next slides. If you still remember that we have discussed the problem definition, objectives and project scope in our previous iLecture session, initiation. At this stage, you can use and detail out the information so you have a better understanding on what to do when planning. In this slide, it is clearly stated that you must remember the things to be done and delivered. As mentioned earlier, you may detail out your project objectives to describe what you want to achieve. Based on the objectives, you are able to provide a clear direction to your team members. Activity plan. Prior to the planning, you may list down all your activities that are required for the project. Once listed, you may assign its order accordingly. At the same time, you also need to assign resources for each activity as required. It's very simple. Now, you already have a problem definition, project objectives, project scope, and activity plan. So, what's next? Work breakdown structure. Let's assume you have detailed information on the problems, objectives, and project scope. Next, you will come up with a work breakdown structure, or WBS. What is WBS? It is a process of breaking down main tasks into smaller and manageable tasks. The use of WBS helps to assure project managers that all products and work elements are identified to integrate the project with the current organization and to establish a basis for controls. Basically, the WBS is an outline of the project with different level of details. Do you know how to prepare WBS? Let's move on to the next slide so that you can have more ideas how WBS looks like. As you can see here, the first thing that you need to do is name of your project. This is the first level of WBS. Next, you can identify main deliverables of the project as your WBS second level. Once identified, you can move to the third level where you need to break the deliverables down further into tasks. Please take note that you may break it down your task third level into subtasks fourth level if required. Here is an example of WBS based on what we have discussed just now. Before we complete the planning process, there are three more things that you have to do. Decide the project organization structure. This is where you need to identify people who will involve in the project. Project plan and budget. As the project manager, you are responsible to prepare a detailed project plan and budget. This enables the project team members to aware of the activities that require for the project and how much the project costs to be spent. Lastly, the project plan and budget are required to be approved and signed off by relevant stakeholders. Normally, it will be done by the project sponsor and project steering committee. Before we finish our session, let's recap our discussion. When planning, you are required to define a project problem, identify project scope, and project objectives. Once you have all information, next step is to prepare activity plan, where you need to assign resources and schedule for each activity. When preparing the activity plan, it is advisable to prepare a work breakdown structure, or WBS, so that you will not miss out any activities and at the same time break the task down into smaller and manageable tasks. That's it for now. I will see you in the next session, which is IT project estimates. Thank you for your time.